Why I chose Savannah, Georgia for a new start. Um, my research started on Savannah when I was doing a bid in prison back in 2010, 9, and 8. Um, I had access to the World Almanac, and that's when I started doing research on Georgia, and I figured out which was the top 5 largest cities in Georgia through that Almanac book. I had this theory that the bigger the city, the bigger the jobs. The bigger the cities, the more opportunities, the more fun you can have. Because I was hearing people talking about, oh, I live in a small city and it's boring here. So I always told myself that no matter where I move to, it would be a big city because the bigger city has a lot more to offer on many levels that small cities don't have to offer. So time goes on, I talked to different inmates that I knew that were from Georgia. Only thing about that was all everybody knew was Atlanta, 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 Atlanta. That's all everybody could tell me about Georgia was Atlanta. And me personally, I feel that Atlanta is overpopulated because I know people that have been moving to Atlanta since '98. So from '98 to 2009, 10, Atlanta got to be overpopulated by now. I mean, every black person that get a little money in their pocket, that's where they're headed, to Atlanta, Georgia. So that wasn't an option for me. Um, upon me getting released from prison from doing my bid, I had more access and I started doing more research through Google. I found out that the top 5 largest cities in Georgia was the same on Google as it was in the Almanac. And then one day I was listening to a song on the radio, Ludacris featuring DTP and Field Mob, Georgia. And one of the brothers from Field Mob said, R.I.P. to camouflage out in Savannah. And I said that name over and over my head, Savannah, 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 Savannah. And come to think about it, I never heard nobody talk about Savannah. I never heard nothing bad about Savannah. So I took the time to do the research. Kind of found out that Savannah is the 3rd largest city in Georgia. So I already knew, okay, bigger city, more job opportunities, more options to have fun. I started doing my research. I found out that Savannah, Georgia has just as many temp to hire companies as Orlando, Florida, and Atlanta, Georgia. Only thing is, the process to the temp to hire company was a lot easier in Savannah than it was in Atlanta. So that pushed me more to go with it. I found out that Savannah's a big tourist city, like Orlando's a big tourist city. Um, I started me a tag account, to milk the females on tag for information about Savannah that can help me learn my way around and help me learn where all the jobs at. So within time, I said like a couple days after I set up my profile, me and a young female that was like, I think she was 25 at the time, started conversating, and she told me what I needed to have the keys to the city and everything, and gave me a lot of information. So I started calling around with different temp to hire companies. I like what they were saying was that they doing a 7-year background check on felons. They doing a 3-year background check on misdemeanor. I'm like, wow, a couple of temp to hire companies that I called told me that they have contracts that do request a background check, and they also have contracts that don't request a background check. So that there alone motivated me more to hurry up and get out there. So within time goes by, I'm calling these different temp to hire companies. I'm listening to what the female feeding me. So I felt like that was enough for me to go out there and visit for a weekend and see how do I like the city, see if I can get a good vibe, a good feel for the city. So before you know it, the weekend came. I took some money out the bank. I jumped right on the Greyhound, headed to Savannah, Georgia. I told everybody I was coming. A few females I was talking to told me to hit them up when I get there. So I'm like, okay, I hit you up, see what's what. That's when I realized it was an 8-hour Greyhound ride from Orlando to Savannah, Georgia, with an hour layover in Jacksonville. So when I touched down in Savannah, it was like 8, 9 at night. So wasn't no cabs in front of the Greyhound station, just a regular, just like a hole in the wall Greyhound station with seats. I left the Greyhound station. I used the GPS to direct me to the Labor Ready, which was on Broad Street. I had in the right direction, checking out the little scene, all the little old buildings, ancient buildings and everything, Just walking, minding my business. I got halfway to the Labor Ready on Broad Street, and a minivan put up on me. It was like, "Hey, you need a ride?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I really do need a ride." So I walked up to the van. It was a guy and his girlfriend. They gave me a ride. Like, as soon as I got in the van and closed the door, I asked them how far are we from the south side. It was like too far to walk, and there's no buses running this late. I'm like, "Oh, wow." So I like, "Can you take me?" They're like, "Nah, I don't feel like going to the south side tonight. But where you headed?" I said, "Really don't know. I mean, I just got here from Florida. I'm here to find a job. I can find a job by Sunday. I would be staying here in Savannah for good." Like, "Oh, okay." So we took off down the road. I know that his wife was like a little funny, or his girlfriend, whatever she was, so like a little funny. Like she looked like she had a little attitude. She wasn't saying much, so we started keeping the conversation going, a little small talk. And I noticed as we drove off, within 5 minutes of driving, everything that I had just walked, he had passed, and he had ended up in the same area within 5, 6 turns. So before you know it, we went up at their house. It's like, no, you can sleep in our van for the night. I'm like, okay, that's a good idea, until I can get to the south side. But before we went to his house, we stopped by the gas station, Parker's. I went in the Parker's, and got $10 out the bank, got $10 out my wallet to give him for gas money. And I bought me a soda and a bag of chips to munch on. So got back in the van with him. Conversation still going, Within time, his wife spoke up, was like, "I don't mean that funny thing, but I'm not too comfortable with picking up strangers. Especially with people from out of town. You never know what you could be wanted, you could be a murderer, etc., etc." I'm like, "Man, you got nothing to worry about. I'm just here to get a feel for the city to make sure that this is where I want to move to." So I understand that. So that was that. Within minutes, we drove to the little rooming house they were staying at. We pulled up. They parked the van. They went in the house. After they went in the house, I noticed a couple of jigs was in out the house over and over. Like, okay, this must be a drug area. You know what I mean? Because why would jits be in out the house? You know what I'm saying? So time go by. The man came back out the house. He grabbed everything that I figured with everything that was important. He took it to the house. And then within a couple of minutes, him and his wife was standing on the right side of the vehicle by the road talking. And I happened to look out the mirror. That's when I seen him snort something out of his keychain. So I'm like, "Hey, this man snort powder. So I definitely got to get up out there. This could be a setup for me to get raw. He ought to know I'm fresh. He ought to know I'm fresh here, fresh out the Greyhound in Savannah. He could think I got a pocket for the money. It's already jits running out the house." So I put a plan together. My phone ring as he was coming back to the van. I was on the phone with somebody. It was really a text message, but I played it off like I was on the phone with somebody. I told him, "Yeah, come get me. Meet me at the Labor Ready. You can pick me up from there." So that's what they said, okay. Then I hung up. I grabbed my bag. I told him, "Hey, I gotta go. Somebody come to get me from the Labor Ready." So, all right, okay. Left that like that. And like, "You sure? You sure you want to stay tonight?" I'm like, "Nah, man. Somebody come and get me from the Labor Ready." So I walked back in the direction that we had just came from. Ended up right at the Labor Ready. I sat right there on the ground until morning came. I said within a few hours, some guys was waking me up because they were standing there talking. Come to find out those other workers waiting on Labor Ready to open up. I thought it opened up at 5 a.m. like the Labor Ready in Orlando, but this opened up at 6. Monday to Saturday, opened up at 6. So 6 o'clock came in. I did the hiring paperwork that was done. They didn't have any work at the time, so I went on the left. I GPS my way to the bus stop where I could take the bus to the south side of Savannah, to where I had booked the hotel while on the Greyhound ride to Savannah. I got downtown. It was Broad Street. I got downtown. I got on the bus I needed to get on to get me to the south side of Savannah. So when the bus pulled up in front of my hotel, I got off. I let the bus pass me first, just take a little view of the city. I thought I seen a 9 Hines sign at the Checkers. So when I turned that way, when the bus was out of sight, I seen that every restaurant on Mall Boulevard had a 9 sign. That's when I told myself, I said, well, I guess it's meant for me to move to Savannah. You know what I mean? So I grabbed my suitcase. I walked across the street. I went into the Arby's, did the application. I came to the counter, asked to speak to the manager. Manager gave my application. He read over and said, you didn't put an address down. I said, I just jumped out the Greyhound. I just moved here from Savannah. I need time to get an address. Like, well, I can't do nothing with you without an address, but if you can get an address, I can start you tomorrow. I said, okay, give me a minute. So I left Arby's. I went to Checkers. Same process. I applied, asked to speak to the manager. Manager took my application, reviewed it. Say, he noticed the same thing that the manager noted at Arby's. Why'd you leave the address section blank? I explained the same thing. He say, well, try this. Go to the hotel you staying at. Aslan can use the address for justified employment. If you get an address, I will start you to work. I said, okay. I thought that was a good idea. I walk across the street to the Days Inn on Mall Boulevard. I paid my rent for the weekend. Then once she gave the receipt, I asked, I said, is there any way I can use your address for me to get a job? You know, I have 2 jobs ready to hire me right now. She immediately said no. If you're not on the weekly rates, if you're not on the weekly rates or the monthly rates, you can't use the address. That's on the way. So okay, I left that like that. I headed to the what was that right there? I headed to the IHOP on Mall Boulevard, which is now. This was in 2013. This was in 2012. It was the IHOP. Now it's a Sister of the South restaurant. So I headed there. So I walked through the door like, wow, I ain't never seen this many black people working in IHOP. So I asked one of the server came up to me. I said, can I speak to the manager? She said, sure. What is it, God? I said, I want to talk to her about a transfer. She said, okay. So she went to the back and she talked to the manager. Came back out. You need to have your manager at your store call my store and then go from there. But at the moment we're not doing any hiring. I said, okay, thank you. So I headed back to my hotel. You know, feeling a little scared. Like, dang, that's too hot on the spot jobs I can have right now if I could just find an address. So I came up with a solution of my own. I got on tag and Facebook. Everybody was on both accounts from Savannah, Georgia, or that lived in Savannah, Georgia. I asked them, do they want to make some money? You want to make $20 by letting me use your address? Didn't get no response. So I left that out there like that. I spent the rest of that Friday. I spent the rest of that Saturday walking around the mall. I walked around the Overthrow Mall, which is also known as the Old Mall. So I walked through there and noticed all the stores that I didn't see in the mall in Orlando. Walked through the little hip-hop stores, you know. Get a little feel how they dress, you know, how they carry themselves around here in the seaport, you know. I doing a little post on my wall on tag. I'm in Savannah. I'm hanging out in the mall, you know. I reached out to some of the females that told me to reach out to them when I touched down. To my surprise, nobody responded. The female that helped me out with all the information, she was informing me it was another mall known as the Savannah Mall, which is a little bit further down the street. So I walked the mall, looking down the street, looking like I don't think no mall is down the street. You know what I mean? She was trying to explain it, but I didn't want to take the time to walk there. So I just walked back across the street to my hotel, chill, relax for the night. You know, doing more research on the city, trying to see how far apart each tent and hire company is. It's a couple tent and hire companies right around the corner from Mall Boulevard. So I was just checking out my options. You know, come that Sunday. Walked around the city, went to church. You know, I had called one of the churches of Christ in Savannah. They came to pick me up, took me to church, enjoyed the service and everything, and spent the rest of the whole Sunday walking around the city. I like what I'm seeing and everything. That's when I jumped on the Greyhound, formatted a plan. I put a plan together. By the time I touched down in Jacksonville for the hour layover, and that's when I made my mind up. From that moment there, I told myself, we're moving to Savannah, Georgia for a new start. You know what I mean? It was confirmed. I need a new start because if I would have found an address, I wouldn't have been back in Florida. I would have stayed right there in Savannah and enjoyed my new start from that moment. So that's the reason I chose Savannah, Georgia. All the job opportunities, They don't make a big deal about your record like Florida do, and then it's time for a new start in my life. I really felt like I can really start my life over in Savannah, Georgia.